And we're recording. Welcome to the show. My name's Tom Wines.
I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I told my sister we're doing a Zoom cast yesterday with the family. Got
Yes.
7 brothers and sisters. Well, 6 left, but they were family made. I said, "Hey, why didn't you hit the record button?" Why would I do that? I go, I don't know.
For posterity. No?
It's nothing but a click on a button, and it's us all yammering at the same time, having a ball. We had a ball. We talked for 40 minutes.
That's nice. We did the Zoom. Okay, so for everybody listening, this is the day after Thanksgiving. Weird.
That day after forever.
It's our first pandemic and hopefully our last pandemic Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
things were different. And Alex and Will and I were home, but we did the Zoom with my mom and my sister, Carol. And it was interesting because I'll tell you, Tom, when you get your family together like that, and I'm curious if this happened on the Zoom with you, as any gathering, things come up that maybe you hadn't expected, right? Like old memories. Did you have that?
I brought up an old memory. Remember we were talking about Pete Foley last week about the one colorful character in our lives. It was funny how my sister Mary was angry, did not like Pete Foley. We thought Pete Foley was a blast, but he was, your old classic man's man.
Yes, that would explain that. Yeah.
Oh, I was surprised. I wanted to explore that a little bit. Had he done anything to her? I really doubt that, but she might have just didn't like his attitude towards women.
Right. Well,
Weird.
I mean, what years were those when Pete was around?
It would be in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
women were barely allowed to speak in public, so I could see where that would be a problem.
I was probably 10, and Mary is 7 years older than me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be.
I mean,
that is interesting though, and again, our memories are our own perspectives, right? We're all coming from a different place. Yeah, it was funny on the Zoom call with mom, and well, first of all, we didn't do Zoom, we did FaceTime, and
what do you guys?
I'm sorry, but when we did it, it's so funny because my mom doesn't do it a lot. So Carol said, "Tell mom ahead of time so she knows, so she's not surprised." And I was like, we don't need to warn mom. So and she did fine. I mean, the phone was mostly held from here down.
Didn't she have a desk call? Didn't you get mother a desk call?
I told you I'm going to buy a desk call for mother. I'm going to do it.
Wait till next year then. When she's in a room.
Here's the thing.
In a feeding tube.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. It is my bad.
That desk call out. Let's go.
I'm going to get the desk call. When's your next show with that?
I had the desk call. What was it? On Thursday.
Oh, so you'd still get credit if I get it today?
I don't get credit.
They give you 24 hours.
Yeah, but I get a flat fee.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so nothing surprising came up then during your call then other than you found out your sister wasn't thrilled with this dude.
Oh, my God. Everybody's talking about Medicare supplements. I said, really? Can we change?
Really?
Talk about something else? But it was fun. We had fun. We're talking about Bernie. Bernie's playing, like I said, pick a ball, and he trots out all his trophies. Then everybody's grabbing something. Oh, I got trophies. Here's a medal. Then Nancy told a crazy story about how when she was 16, she hadn't won anything. My sister Mary came home from high school, senior, with a Miss Congeniality trophy that was, the screen's not big enough. 3 feet tall. Nobody even knew what the hell Miss Congeniality meant. Everybody. And so Nancy talked somebody into giving her a bowling trophy.
Okay, that's hilarious.
And then she brought the trophy home because, Jimmy and I were in pass, punt, and kick when we were kids, when we were 9, 12. So we're bringing home little trophies every now and again. And then we played Little League Baseball, and everybody gets a trophy there, even then. And so she comes home with this bowling trophy. And
okay, that's pretty great.
Apparently, my folks were like, "Is that nice?" Nobody said, "When have you ever been bowling? What team are you on? What's going?" Nobody asked any questions. They just put the trophy up in the. I said,
"Your family sounds, for that many kids, your family sounds like there wasn't a lot of drama. Like you guys were very happy people."
Oh, we had the peak memories of my dad threatening to make my brother Johnny part of the wall. That was kind of an ongoing, threat, or you're going to get the strap when your dad gets home.
Yeah.
that was, it was nothing. It was nothing. For flare ups for the, you had 10 people living in, roughly 1,600 square feet.
Yeah, you kind of had to get along, didn't you?
It
I
was
mean,
worse. Legally, if the, what's that? Health and Human Resources came by or something, we would have been violating codes. You couldn't jam that many people in this little space.
well, that was definitely the era of big families,
Yeah,
right? Lots of
yeah.
people had
The
had
lockup,
big.
you had more space at the lockup at Cook County.
Well, it was funny talking to my mom because, we chit chatted about Thanksgiving and different things like that. And I got out these cards. I think I've talked about them before, called "What's Your Word?" It's just a conversation starter, right? Because I like that stuff. So
Sure.
I pulled one out just to see, because I feel like with my mom, you got to ask a very specific question to kind of get stuff from her. She comes from more of an era of, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to, and I'm learning more and more. Like, I'll say something to my daughter and she'll say, "Well, I didn't know that." And I think, well, I'm sorry, I ask me questions because I don't know what I haven't told you. Right. Like, it came up the other day. I was talking about my cousin and I said something about their farmland. And she said, "We have family who owns farmland." I said, "I'm sorry. It's just, I don't think about that stuff because we've always traveled and lived far away, right? We didn't stay in Indiana with the rest of the
Hillbillies.
extended family." So
Hillbillies is the word you're looking for.
say again.
Hillbillies is the word you're looking for.
Is it though? Is it, Tom? You just call my family hillbillies? My
Hicks.
my family history comes from conservative white Midwestern passive aggressive, we shall never speak of it in public dynamic.
God, is that exhausting or what?
So you can imagine what a fun addition I was, because they really love me walking in their room. So I asked a question from this card that said, "What's one of the kindest things someone's ever done for you?"
Oh, that's nice.
And I guess we can talk about it today. But here's the funny thing.
Is it in the book? I'd rather not go off the book.
It's in my. You know what? We're doing it. So
Wow.
I asked the question, and I want Mom to go first because I want Mom's 81. I want her to just focus on the question. The first thing my mom says, like, we're having a lovely talk. But here's the thing about when you get in your 80s, you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about what you say. You're just going to say shit. Now I'm thinking it's a nice, what's the kindest, kind thoughts, happiness. My mom says, without hesitation. She's not.
This is triggered. This is loaded. This is in a cylinder. It's in cylinder number 1.
It set her off. Without hesitation, my mother says, "Well, I was gonna say my mom giving birth, but I don't want to give her any credit."
Oh no.
So wow. I jump on it like a dog on a bone, and I was like, snap against grandma. What? Well, here's what I know about my mom's mom. My mom was raised by her grandmother, and my mother was born in 1939. So she came from an era of multiple families lived together, and if something traumatic happened in the family, you never spoke of it. So when yes, you got to tap it all down. So my mom was raised by her grandma, and so she was never really close with her mother, right? And the interesting thing is,
I don't know, right? How's that?
Huh?
How is that? That's not right. Like assumed. My mom was raised by her grandmother. Why was that?
No, I'm not saying that was assumed. I was saying she never spoke. It wasn't something we said. What? Why?
Oh, right.
So last night when she did that, we all reacted, and I said, "Oh, snap on grandma." I go, "What's going on there, Mom? What's happening with grandma?" I go, "You were never really raised by her, right?" So she just goes on this thing about, well, she got married, and then I was like, what's she doing? My mom didn't even know till she was 5 years old that her mother was her mother. She thought her grandmother was her mother. I mean, that's the kind of dynamic we're speaking of, right?
I'm not going to say that's uncommon. I've heard that tale.
Not from that era. Think about it. There's no social media. You barely had a phone. Everything was kept very small.
Jack
right?
Nicholson was raised by his grandmother and he was raised in thought his mom was his sister. You know that story, right?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead. I'm
So,
sorry.
no, it's totally fine.
I'm
So
sorry, I tell you.
so she goes on a little bit, and Alex is just dying over here, and I was like, so tell us, mom. So I'm asking her pointed questions. Yeah. So I'm asking her pointed questions, so she gets it out of her system, and basically gets her anger out. And maybe it's because it's Thanksgiving and it's a family time. This is the first Thanksgiving that she's in by herself. People exchange food with her, but we're zooming. So I don't know if that's what set her off. So finally, after she got it all out, I said, so what's the kindest thing anybody's ever done for you? And so she goes, oh, like she forgot the initial question. And she said, well, I have a lovely daughter who goes to the store for me, Carol, right? Carol's on the phone call, and she does all the Carol things. So then, of course, I go, well, what have I done? Haven't I done anything?
I put the question on a tee, Mom. I put the question on a tee. All you do is take a lazy swing, and everyone's going to be happy. It's Thanksgiving.
No, it was great because of all my sisters, I've got 3. Carol is more like
oh, she's much nicer than all 3 of you.
Oh, she really is. She's just got a good heart. She doesn't draw attention to herself. So it was lovely, but it was funny how
most likely to probably kill somebody, but yeah, she's got a good heart.
And you would never know. I would be the one that would go to prison for it.
She's like back into the dark, like Homer going into the bushes.
That's right. That's right. And if my sister killed someone, I would go to prison for her. I love her so much. Like, she's ridiculously amazing. So it was just funny. So anyway, I didn't even bring up topics yet because I was so distracted by what happened with my mother last night.
Did she throw you any love at all?
Yes, of course. Yeah, then she laughed about
it. Dentistry?
What?
Was it like dentistry? Let me rephrase the question a third time.
Ask you again. Well,
you then have a redheaded daughter.
No, then she did the whole, all my daughters are very lovely, but then she told a funny story. She said, when I was little, my big thing with her was I was going to buy her when I would like tell her how much I loved her, I would say everything was going to be gold. Like, I'm going to buy you a gold dress. And then she said, well, you never actually said buy, you just said get. And I go, yeah, I was probably going to steal it. What do I know? We always have to turn it down and drop Melinda down. But she said, I wanted to buy her a gold bikini, a gold dress, like everything was gold. That was my ultimate package of like, I want to buy you gold things. So that was cute.
Huh. I like that. Did you ask any more questions, or was that the end of that game?
No, we took several unusual spins into different things, because then she went into a whole thing about when Carol talked about what was her kindest thing. When Carol was going through her divorce, Mark was little, she was a nurse, but she needed to finish up some classes. One of the nurses on her floor offered to pay for her schooling.
Wow.
So that's a pretty kind gesture. So then Mom went into a thing about, well, I don't remember you doing that. And, we went down that hole. So Carol had to tell her, and she's like, well, I don't remember any of that. And then, so then we spun back into childhood things. We were laughing so hard. We started telling funny stories about when we were all kids. And, it was a lovely conversation. It's kind of like watching old movies, right? We just brought up all.
Oh, it's great. What about now? Was your other sister involved in this?
On the phone call, it was just Mom and Carol and me and Alex. And so
sister?
I have an older sister, Cindy, and a younger sister, Kelly. Kelly's younger than Carol. Carol and I are in the middle.
Well, where are those two girls?
Living their lives wherever they want to be. Look at you. I knew what you were trying to do, stir the pot. I've got 3 sisters.
You just named 4.
I've only ever, I have a half sister in California.
Okay. Me, I'm a numbers person. I counted 4. Then you said you got 2.
There's 4 of us. 3. Listen, I have 1 sister that's full blood from the same mom and dad. 2 that are from the same mom, a different dad. Then another sister from the same dad, different mom in California. And then 2 brothers.
Hey, I apologize for calling you hillbillies, because now I'm giving hillbillies a bad name.
You really are.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done that. What is a hillbilly? When you say hillbilly, though, do you just mean someone from an
I'm just kidding.
I know.
I don't mean to diminish anybody.
I know. No, I know. They're farmers. Those Indiana people are farmers.
Thank God for them. Thank God. That's really the backbone of the country. Everybody wants to, write a play and be in a book or whatever, but it's being people doing the work. Or here I'm bringing Davis in. We have so much more to talk to. I've got the whole Beatles thing I wanted to talk about.
We haven't even begun to talk about my topic.
This is the old class that it takes 20 minutes to say hello. I can't do it.
That's just kind of how it is. If Davis is going to try to pull off not having a live video of him, I'm not having. Oh, is that your real Christmas setup there, Mr. Davis?
Welcome to our home.
The lies continue. How about a little front lighting, my man?
I what? I do look like Darth Vader, don't I?
You need a ring light, sir.
I know, you guys are so professional.
In the business, for gosh sakes. You'd think you'd
Don't tell me. Is this what he does when he does his segments? He doesn't have, and then he just walks off set.
This is exactly what I hate about podcasts. People that come in and we're ready. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Everybody's confused. We're all confused.
I was busy putting the tree up. I apologize.
Or people that do the live videos and then they're just looking at the screen going, let's wait till everybody shows up.
Okay.
Rude for the people that are already there.
Really?
Well, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, Miss Melinda.
I did have a lovely Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Good. And I know Thomas did with his friends and family.
That's right.
Real friends and family.
And how was your food? Did you have a lot of food, Matt?
We did. We had great turkey, 14-pound bird. I cooked it in 2 hours in my Carson oven.
I didn't know it was a race.
Yeah, it is a race, and it turned out great. Thanks. My wife did all the other fixings. It was great. Thank you. I'll tell you, last night we were watching. What were we watching last night?
Oh, here's more confusion. Isn't this delightful? Let's ask him. Do you know what day it is? What time it is? Why are you not ready? Is this?
What is it, Dorothy? Dorothy and the dog.
Am I on? Am I on? Oh, what happened? I just.
What were you watching?
We were watching the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz last night.
I love it.
Yes, and it's one of those, it's not a Christmas movie, but it's kind of a Christmas movie.
Was that on traditionally for Thanksgiving? Because I was having the conversation with Tina yesterday, whether that's a traditional Thanksgiving movie. And I'm thinking, yes.
I feel like it is. And that, I was thinking, that made me start thinking about different movies and that we see during the holidays. And quote unquote, a holiday movie isn't necessarily what we see during the holidays and all that. But I was thinking about holiday movie box office. So that's what our trivia question is about today.
Oh, HMBO. Got it.
Tis the season for great holiday movies, right? But which of these classics had the highest final domestic box office?
Oh,
okay, so we're talking about domestic box office. And I got to tell you, I looked at the list and I was shocked. I was taken aback. It rocked me to my core.
This is a clue, Melinda. This is a clue.
It did rock me to my core, some of the movies that were in the highest box office.
He's tricking me.
I mean, I'm going to take, and I have to tell you, because I am the judge and I decide what is fair and not fair, I am taking the top box office Christmas movie of all time. I'm throwing it out. I don't believe that it is really a Christmas movie. So I'm throwing it out.
So there goes Die Hard.
Before I throw it out, what would you, and not Die Hard, but what movie would you think is they consider a Christmas movie had the highest box office of all time? Do you have any just thoughts? I know it's tough just to.
Well, yeah, I'm saying the classic is Die Hard, whether Die Hard's a Christmas movie or not. That's the old song.
They used to always play the Die. How many Die Hards are there? They used to play that during the holiday.
Too many, right?
Well, because he's out to California for the Christmas season or something, right?
Right.
That's why I threw this movie out too. I won't waste your time. The number one box office Christmas movie on this list was Home Alone. I don't consider Home Alone a Christmas movie. I mean, it does take place during Christmas, but it's not, I don't think it has anything to do with Christmas. I mean, if you think about
abandonment, kids out of control, that's not Christmas.
That's not my Christmas.
the mom getting blamed for everything.
I know, but it has nothing to do with Christmas.
That's right. I'm throwing it out. Throwing it out.
Didn't they go to
1990.
Central Park?
How big was Home Alone, Tom? Well, how big was the box office for Home Alone?
Are we talking domestic or worldwide?
We're talking domestic. I will tell you that it was so big. It came out in the holiday season, but they kept it in theaters for 12 weeks. It was #1 for 12 weeks.
All right. Well, do you want to handle this, Melinda, or should I take a whack at it?
300 million.
That's a good guess.
It's
I'm
a
not
very
always
good guess.
the dumb.
286 million. I'm going to round it up to 300 million and give you a point. You got a point right there.
I was going to say 250 to 300. I don't know why.
I think Melinda gets a point right
I'm
there. I'm
unhappy
just saying.
already.
Okay,
It's
so
not the same.
so of these 3 remaining movies, which one had the highest domestic box office? Now he's walking away. It's craziness here.
I
today.
don't want to call in help, but I will be using Catovision to come up with my answer.
Catovision.
What the hell is that?
Spencer made this when she was 9 years old.
Oh,
This will
let me
discern
see
the
it.
answer.
Give us an example. Oh,
Tom is trying. This is what happens whenever I win anything. Tom makes it about him.
Look at
Every-
over there. Look at over there.
Subject. Change the subject. This entire episode won't even air. Will not be broadcast to all of our millions of fans if you win, Melinda. So
I know. There'll be a technical glitch.
This microphone's not working.
I thought we were recording. Okay, these 3 movies. Which one had the highest domestic box office? A, probably my favorite Christmas movie of all time, Elf, starring Will Ferrell, 2003. Elf. Okay, love it. Great movie. B, Jim Carrey in what I consider a very unfortunate role as the Grinch in How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I loved him in The Grinch. You didn't like him in that?
I hated it like poison.
Because
The original
it was sexual?
He feels the same way about you.
1957's version, the original, baby. I'm old school OG.
All right. I thought Jim Carrey did a great job. He did. It was funny, Matt, because I had forgotten about that movie. And then a few years ago at Christmas, we were trying to get in the Christmas mood. So Alex and Will and I put that on and we were stunned. We were like, this is way more sexual than what we remember. This is very adult. He really added a lot of sexual tension and kind of some weirdness in it, but I liked it.
Did he have nipples showing or?
I mean, I'm sure there were some nip moments because you got to do that in a sexual.
Well, I'm just bringing up nipples for our ratings. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have A, Elf, B, Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or
Yes.
How Jim Carrey Tried to Steal the Movie, or C, Tom Hanks in Polar Express,
Polar Express.
2004. That was the one that was animated, but it was kind of disturbing the way it was animated. It was almost a little too real. And that,
you know what? Just answer the question. You're throwing in a lot of personal opinion.
I'm giving some personal opinions. Yes. A, Elf, B, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or C, Polar Express. You decide.
So we're talking the biggest box office in the United States.
Correct.
Wait. Do you break out like DVD sales or Netflix airings? This is
Domestic box office.
sit
Not
in the chair
DVDs.
watching the show in a theater.
Domestic box office.
Elf.
Elf, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or Polar Express.
Did you want to go first?
I'm going to do this how Bill Murray would do it, which is didn't see Polar Express, so it's out. I'm not going to.
Wow.
I will say I've probably watched Elf more than I watched the other 2 films. I feel like it reaches adults and kids, but the scary thing is Polar Express, those fucking kids, man, that's what raises the sales. So
there goes Mother of the Year. Go on.
oh no, I really thought I had that one. That was my goal in life.
Kids.
I don't think it was the Grinch. I just don't think it was. I'm tossing the Grinch. I think it's between Polar Express, even though I never saw it, and Elf, I think it could. Damn it! I'm gonna go with the one I don't think, because I think I'm wrong most of the time. So I'm gonna say Polar Express, motherfuckers. Polar Express.
There goes our PBS movie.
That was a strong.
Our movie evaluation. I was pitching the PBS.
That was strong. That was strong. You
Hey,
brought it there, Melinda.
okay.
I've got to say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You remember Siskel and Ebert? Well, I got another pitch.
What do you think, Thomas?
Okay, so let's pick this apart a little bit. You're right. Kids are the driving force for Christmas, for animation, for movies. And then the question is, so Elf, I think, is a little bit adult for kids. So I'm going to toss Elf out, even though it's popular. I can't imagine it's really, it's kind of a date movie. I think people our age really love Elf. So now I'm down to Polar Express. Go ahead.
You don't think parents took their kids to the movies to see Elf?
I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm just curious because I feel like they would, but
maybe they love it more than I expect. I don't. My kids didn't ever give Elf a mind.
My daughter Alex hates Elf, and when I put it on every year, she always says, "I hate that movie."
That's what I'm saying. I'm not feeling.
That's how I feel about Dirty Dancing
for Elf.
Okay.
Now we're down to Polar Express, and we're down to the Grinch. Polar Express probably came out with a huge, budget and this and that. It was, crazy, brand new animation, which really didn't catch on. I mean, no one else has done a movie quite like that.
Because it's creepy.
So the answer is clearly the time-old classic, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
Oh, you're so wrong. Wrong.
All right, Linda, what was your answer?
Let me confirm that with the Catavision. Oh,
I bounced all around, but I'm going to settle on Polar Express. It goes against my gut.
All around. You said exactly Polar Express.
Okay, so Tom, you've got Grinch, and Melinda, you have Polar Express. Well, I'll tell you, the one movie that I didn't even mention, I just want to backtrack. Truly my favorite holiday movie of all time. Can't believe neither one of you even mentioned it. $60 million of box office for Scrooged. $60 million for Scrooge, finished a distant, not even in the running. Third highest box office of that list was 2003's Elf with Will Ferrell at $173 million. It's a pretty good box office. 173 million. Will Ferrell, Zooey Deschanel, James Caan. Come on, James Caan was great.
It's a good one, man.
The second highest box office is
Polar Express.
2004's Tom Hanks' Polar Express, $183 million, leaving the shockingly high box office, the second highest of all time for a Christmas movie. Jim Carrey butchering the role of the Grinch in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Cat Eye View wins again, $260 million.
Why do you think that is, guys? Why do you think that?
Well, the story's been around since we were kids, so adults wanted to see it, and then the kids. That's a classic Christmas tale. They've read that book ever since they were 2, and Ron Howard did it. Jim Carrey was probably at the height of his powers at that point. He was coming off a Liar, or whatever the hell he was.
Yeah.
And the word is, what's not to like? Adults want to see how it's done professionally with Ron Howard. He was hitting all the high notes as the director.
Yeah.
And then Jim Carrey's just a hoot. He's fun. And then everybody knows Cindy Lou Who and the whole, everybody, we were singing, we were getting up before we said the prayer yesterday. We all held hands. And then Tommy burst out into Bahum Pores, and we just did that for, 3 minutes.
That's awesome. Just to reiterate what you said, Tom, the third highest that I didn't include on the list was another version called Dr. Seuss's The Grinch that came out 2 years ago, 2018, with Benedict Cumberbatch voicing the titular Green Miser. I have no memory of that.
Cannot say titular on this broadcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nipular.
Brestular is preferred.
The Dr. Seuss's The Grinch 2018 did $190 million domestic.
Was it a cartoon?
He said it says voiced it, so it must have been a cartoon. I have no memory of that at all.
See, because we don't have kids that are 7 and 9. That would have been going
Right.
crazy to go see that movie. My kids have, that ship sailed. So we
So
just
the Grinch is number 2 and number 3. If you
Wow.
throw out Home Alone, I
Don't
mean,
people watch
it's
It's a
amazing.
Wonderful Life anymore?
Yeah, but it didn't do
I
any
know.
box office.
I know, but I mean, I feel like that's something you never really hear people talk. Is it too depressing?
I
No,
love that movie.
I love that
That's
movie.
such a classic.
It's a
That
wonderful
movie has like 3 different basic sections. The first story, there's like, I just love that movie. There's
Yeah.
when the bell rings,
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful Life, and also I like Going My Way. I offer that up as a fresh because it's got a Christmas angle and an ending, and White Christmas and is it Holiday? Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby did a couple of movies together that had Christmas themes. They were fun.
That's before our time, but thank you, Tom. We'll definitely have to check that out. Old man Tom Wise.
Anyway, when I was a boy,
When I was a kid,
It's
you
funny
be a
'cause,
nickel and you get free popcorn.
my whole family, like yesterday, you throw out a line from one of those movies, everybody's on it. We're all on it. We've got there's 9 of us that have that same, experience.
Yes.
You'd
exactly.
rather starve than push a broom.
Well done, wise man. He wins again.
And
Back on top.
Melinda,
Back on top.
second place, but you got an extra. You got a bonus point. You got the.
I'm happy to let Tom have his moment during this segment because he has so few. You know what I mean?
That's right. Absolutely. All right, you're beautiful people. Don't ever change.
Thank you, Mr. Matt.
Bye.
God bless you.
Thank you. Wow, that's stunning. I want to read. When was the last time you saw that version of The Grinch with Jim Carrey?
I would probably never sit down to watch it but if I saw it, I would watch bits and pieces. Like I was there's those movies you will sit down and watch.
Yeah.
I watched the other day. I was watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, that's a classic.
I think that's a Thanksgiving movie. I think they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving movie. Did you still like it?
I loved it. You know what I found? I found the soundtrack was a little annoying. It was very, very dated.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying too hard. I don't want, who am I to criticize anybody for anything? But I started, the transitional soundtrack was like, ooh, that's a little grating. They're
Okay.
trying to do, how Ferris Bueller has that famous ending when he's the guys on the bus and they have that, famous boom, boom.
Man, how many times have you watched Ferris Bueller?
Oh, 1,000. I watched, but that was nice. At the end, it was like, that was, kind of corny, hip music, and they were trying to put in too much of that stuff as transition and it was a little grating. But the scene is. Do you have a favorite scene of that movie?
In Ferris Bueller?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh dang, man. I from my memory, it's been a little bit since I've seen it. I felt like it was unrealistic. Like Steve could have helped himself in a better way. But I will say, I found John Candy very endearing.
Oh.
I couldn't tell you. I don't have enough of a memory to know.
Well, let me just tell you the scene I absolutely love in that movie. And the movie, you're right. He was a man of means. He could have made a phone call. He could have taken a cab from where the hell he was to where he needed to go. But you gotta buy in a little bit, right?
They're all in the van with those musicians. Aren't they all in a van with? They take a van. I remember these guys in costumes. They're in a van.
Yeah,
no?
they do. They end up with 6 different adventures. They're on a train. They're renting a car. They're in a refrigerator truck. I mean, it's all hilarious. But the best for my money, the scene you can't not see is when they're driving in the rental car, right? And then Candy avoids something. He spins the car around, and he ends up going the opposite way on the wrong side of the road.
I forgot about that.
And then the classic scene is he's driving, and then the people going the right way are trying to tell him, you're going the wrong way.
Right.
Roll down the window. You're going the wrong way. And they're like, how do they know where we're going? It's a great line. How do they know where we're going? And then they pretend like they're drinking. Okay, have a good day. And then there's 2 trucks coming. And then the two trucks are on them, and then they drive between the trucks, scraping both sides of the car. Steve Martin turns into a skeleton, and then John Candy turns into the devil, laughing.
I forgot about that, but that's a good sign of a film these days because we're so easily distracted by our phone. If you'll actually sit and watch a film, that's a good
Absolutely.
sign.
Oh, I had the phone on going, of course, and then
Oh yeah, of course. How many dates did you get during the movie?
I swiped right 17 times.
Okay.
What does your T-shirt say?
Well, I think I didn't know if I'd worn this one before or not. Can you
No.
read it?
Get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. Jake, John, Lewis.
John Lewis. Necessary trouble. Get yourself in good trouble.
Nice.
Stand up for the right things. It's okay.
I wore nothing.
And your shirt says, you don't want to talk about it. You got nothing.
I got nothing.
You got nothing, sir. So we haven't brought up our topics.
We got 6 minutes to go.
Do we have time? What were your topics for today? I'm just so curious.
Well, I was talking about Paul McCartney, which I thought that was very interesting, about how he, had he died first, would John had carried his legacy for the last, Lennon's been dead for 40 years.
Right. I don't know that he would have. I think John seemed more independent and more, maybe he would have gone on his own, I think.
Well, yeah, but I like I was saying, we were talking off air, those guys were 29 years old when the band broke up, and everybody was crazy. You could imagine that their heads were just filled with stuff. And then, Paul McCartney, they had a hard time, dealing with Yoko, but as a mature man, he's like, you know what? The guy was in love. Of course he wants to be with her all the time. So he changed his perspective now that he's closing, now that he's 70 something. It's like, yeah, you want to be around the women you want to be around. John liked strong women. John's mom was a strong woman. John's, grandmother who raised him was a strong woman. And it was funny. Paul McCartney tells a story about Lennon's first wife. I think her name was Patty.
Yeah.
And Patty tells to McCartney in confidence, he goes, really, why didn't he just come on home? We'll, smoke a pipe, and then, I'll get your slippers. And Paul McCartney's like, he's never going to be that guy. You're never going to get that guy to settle down. So,
yeah.
But I'm glad, I'm proud of Paul, holding up that legacy and forwarding the relationship as being good and healthy and creative and lasting, rather than just running it down his buddy for the last 40 years. It must be exhausting to tell the same stories over and over again, because I was on YouTube kind of chasing McCartney a little bit. Same story. He was on Howard Stern. He was just on Alec Baldwin's podcast 2 months ago telling the same stories. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, but that is super cool that he's doing it, though.
Yeah, they just want to wring that guy dry. It's crazy, but it's fun. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's a different world now. And at the era that the Beatles became as big as they were, we had less we didn't have the kind of networking we have now. But they grew in such a large way that they became the biggest news everywhere they went, right? Like they were the news. And why do you think that was? There were a lot of bands and groups. Obviously through time, their music has shown that it's held up, but at the time, why?
Well, I've got a couple of different things, if you don't mind me espousing this. A couple of things. They were becoming very skilled and talented musicians because they spent hours and hours and hours. It was funny. Paul McCartney himself says he came from a very musical family. His dad played a lot of music. They played a lot of music at home. He played the piano for his dads. They used to do a lot of sing-alongs and sing songs. It's another interesting thing that you don't think about this much, but until the invention of electricity and the invention of the phonograph, if you wanted music in your house, somebody had to play the piano. Piano sales took a shift in 1927. Virtually everybody had a piano in their house that could barely afford it, and virtually everybody had somebody in their house could play. My sister Mary learned how to play the piano. Not that we didn't have a phonograph, but it was like a tradition that one person in the family would learn how to play. So McCartney was the piano player in his dad's family, and he said my brain became kind of like a library of different types of music. So I became kind of filled with all this stuff. Then I got trained with many hours of performing in clubs. They famously did years in Germany. They played for 8 hours. It wasn't coming up and do 40. So they were trained. So when they had their opportunity, on the Ed Sullivan or Writer's Show, they were just like, we're just pounding this out, right? But I always think that we were in an interesting time in the world. Kennedy got killed and we were depressed. The world was like in mourning. And then here's this little glimmer of it's like having a new puppy after your dog dies. This puppy doesn't know about the old dog. All this puppy is joy and happiness and wants to make you feel good.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did a spring, boom, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
And then they had the skill set and the talent to, keep on delivering for 7 years.
Yeah. I have a funny side note story about John Lennon. My friend Ellen, who I met randomly on a plane, who lives in New York, who's lived in New York, most of her life. She's 74 years old. I've known her for a couple of years. I think I've known her 4 years now. She tells me this story where she was in London. She was at this party and John Lennon was there. And she said that, and she was a young woman, and she said all the girls were just fawning all over him. And she had been traveling abroad and had been studying. So she said she wasn't fully aware of who he was, just that everybody was flocking around him. And so they ended up hooking up. She made out with John Lennon.
What?
She made out with John Lennon. She was telling, it took her a long time to get to the point. I was like, what? Start your story with that. What are you talking about?
Don't bury the lead.
And she said, well, I didn't have a real strong idea about who he was. She said, but he didn't enjoy all these women fawning over him. And she said, I think he was drawn to me because I just didn't care. I just, I was right. So my friend Ellen made out with John Lennon.
Wow. I think we got a new title for the show.
That could be a book title.
What's her name?
Ellen.
Ellen rhymes with Lennon. John Lennon. Lennon. Ellen. No.
But what a lovely thing to know.
Yes.
So okay, we've solved the Beatles thing.
Well,
did you have anything that you wanted to talk about?
I'm just stalling because I don't have topics.
Dude, what I'm trying to do in my very gracious, kind, ladylike way is pull things back around to the holiday and what's happening in the world, because I was curious. For most of us, Thanksgiving was different yesterday. For most of us. And if we're lucky, this will be the only pandemic Thanksgiving we have. So I think it's kind of historical. And I'm just curious because traditionally, Thanksgiving is a stressful time for a lot of people because expectations are super fucking high. And I'm just wondering if it was more relaxed this year because you could, if you didn't want to go somewhere, guess what? You could say, pandemic, COVID, if you didn't, I think this would be the one year people could get out of a family obligation, even if your family said they didn't believe in COVID. I'm curious how different Thanksgiving was for everybody, because I feel like when you have certain expectations put on you, it's almost impossible to get out of. So you do it anyway, and you're just mad about it, right?
What a horrible way to go through life. You know that I get along with everybody, so I didn't have that expectation. And then
yes, but you, based on everything I've learned about you, you're very fortunate to have a very chill family. If you would have married into a family that had dysfunction, which I'm sorry, I think most families do, right, you would have had to have participated in that during the holiday.
It's funny. I've always had the remove myself gene. I'd never take any of that crap personally. If I saw crazy Uncle Harry or my mother-in-law going apeshit, I would enjoy the show. I would never take any of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shield my kids from the nonsense and explain he's crazy, but let them do whatever they're going to do. I take none of that personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I would bet had I lived out in California with, Tina, the kids, I mean, there seemed to be a little madness around there where you'd have some differing political opinions at Thanksgiving, but nothing that I would ever feel connected.
And it's not only, I guess as a man, it's different, but it's not only the politics, it's the expectation when you go to someone's home, what's expected of you. Most women I know and most moms, like I mostly, because I had a family, I would have Thanksgiving at my house. So the expectations, and I would tell people so there was no confusion. If I invite you to my home, I don't expect you to cook or clean. I've invited you to my home.
Right.
Enjoy, right? Now, I've been invited to other family members' homes where then they get pissy if you're not helping in the kitchen or you're not, you know what I mean? And so it's the weird dynamic. Huh?
Did you want to name a sister?
Oh, no, I didn't go to my sister's. It was my fucking in-laws, man. The in-laws that I used to have, thank God no longer, over 10 years now, that it was expected in a very passive aggressive way. She would never say to my face, Melinda, I clearly want you in the kitchen and not out here enjoying yourself in the living room with everybody. She would just be like, oh, well.
See, because you're being judged as, her son's, wife.
Oh, yeah. One of the best moments I ever had with her was the expectation was she would always serve her husband. So she wanted me to serve my husband.
Of course.
Hey,
They want you.
I'm not you. So once we were over at the house and it was getting uncomfortable. And so I looked at my then husband at the time and I said, hey, do you want like a Coke or a soda or something? And he goes, yeah, that'd be great. And I said, I want one too. When you go get yours, can you get? And the room went silent because how dare I goad him into getting, you know what I mean? Like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, as you can imagine.
You couldn't for 3 minutes give them the show that they wanted, just for the sake of unity.
I gave them the show most of my marriage, sir.
And then your husband could have just like winked at his dad and looked at his mom, and you went off and skittered to the refrigerator.
And who benefits then?
It's what it actually it's a barometer as to where the marriage is. Do I want to pretend that I'm the doting wife just so you can get a pass and you can enjoy your Thanksgiving with your folks and they can go to their graves thinking that he hooked up with the right woman? Instead, I'll bring a can of gas to this family gathering.
I probably wouldn't have behaved that way had I been I was never accepted. And so I guess
they get what they get. You know what? You reap what you sow. They want to, treat you like the outsider. You got to dance to their song. No, as a mom or a dad, your mother-in-law, you should be embraced. This is the woman that my son has chosen. I take you as my daughter.
Right.
I take you unconditionally. It's never going to happen that way, but that's how it should be.
No, it was like Princess Diana, who always got rejected, who was always treated badly.
You're like Princess Diana. I get it. I'm on board with that.
Right. And the funny thing was, like, getting married into this family, it's not like they were wealthy. You know what I mean? I wasn't taking anything from them. It was just that he was an only son.
Oh, for God's sakes.
How
did
dare
anybody talk to you at all about anything?
No, so I'm curious about Thanksgivings this year. I wonder if they were actually easier in some ways for some people because maybe that heavy duty obligation was lifted. I don't know.
Yeah, I think people stayed home. I mean, my brother-in-law, my former brother-in-law, he stayed up in Gainesville. He didn't come down. He's not doing well. I mean, he had a health issue, but I felt bad about that because his kids did not come to him and he couldn't go to them. So, I mean, I think there was a lot of loneliness. I was thinking that you and I should have opened up go on Facebook and just opened up a Zoom thing if anybody wanted to pop in. But I think, we were doing all sitting around, but it is sad. I feel lucky that I've had family and friends, but you take 3 people out of this equation and I'm by myself.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea though for future, Tom. We should be more cognizant during the holidays. You and I should do some live things on Facebook and just even for an hour, whoever wants to come in, no pressure, say hello, catch up. I think that would actually be
We'll be
wonderful.
recording it and making clips of you breaking down, not you, but the third person coming in. Don't worry about it. Just relax.
That's a great idea.
And we're going to do a meme about how you can't handle life.
I would love that. A meme about how I can't handle life. That's perfect.
Not you, the third person.
Great things to talk about, but I guess we're going to do them next week then.
You have 6 minutes until they pull the plug. You've got one? Because my topics were this. I don't want to go into either one of them at this point. But I'm very curious about the female selfie on Facebook. I want to talk about that. I've got some angles.
Okay.
And then, are you a man of your time or just a follower?
Oh, I like those. Ooh la la.
You thought I came to the lunch with nothing. And
I was sure you were empty-handed. No way. Are you thinking ahead about these shows?
I'll bring Davis in so he can stall for 12 minutes. He takes a 6-minute segment and turns it into 18 minutes.
Okay.
I'm just saying that you're thinking that was my plan. Bring
No, but
Davison. He'll talk forever.
no talk. No, I don't. I think you and I agreed, even if we had no topics, we would find a way to meander and talk for an hour.
So what were your topics? Maybe there's one we can do in 4 minutes.
Okay, so I had decided best and worst based on my phone conversation. It just took me off into another place about perceptions and how we all see things in a different way and how things can just take a turn. So I did best and worst, Thanksgiving, Christmas, siblings, moments, boss, food, sex. And then I divided it by your next year's list. What would you like to be your best in all of those categories? Because we've got time to plot and plan for them, right? Yeah. I also had, what are you watching? Because I watched a couple of interesting little indie things I wanted to talk about. And then I wanted to talk about a possible full-time nurse aide for my dog. I can't give her meds. I had a complete breakdown this morning. She will not take her medicine. I tried talking in the nice voice and putting it in gravy. I tried putting it in stuffing. Here's the thing. They can smell those fucking things. And so
how about this? You know what the kids do over at Lansbrook? No. Whipped cream. She puts a little down the whipped cream, puts a pill in there. It's gone.
Really? I'll try it. I'm actually disgusted by whipped cream. I can't stand it, but I'll do it for Reagan. So I don't buy it. I don't have it in my home, but I'll try it because here's the thing. I hid it in stuffing and gravy thinking she'll never smell it, right? She'll never smell it. She puts it in her mouth and goes like this, pushes the pill out. So I'm like, I'll put it peanut butter because she can't lick the peanut butter off. She licked the peanut butter. So I was like, staying calm. Then I just started getting mad and telling her how she's just wrecking everything. And I just want to give her one fucking little pill. If she could just take the pill. And then she's scared and I'm mad. So then I calmed down and I tried the nice voice again. I'm like, you're a good girl, Reagan. You're a good girl. I just want you to take one little, because here's the thing. It's a pain pill. She needs it. It suppresses her cough. She needs it.
Can you crush it?
And put it into what though? I mean, she smells it and spits it out.
I mean, in your peanut butter or the whipped cream or something.
Well, naturally, my resolution is I need a full-time nurse aide to give her all of her pills because I can't do it anymore.
This woman from Jamaica?
It's too stressful. I don't want her to be stressed. I don't want to be stressed. I know she can probably feel my stress, even though I'm trying to do the nice lady voice because, clearly my energy is like, take the fucking pill, take the fucking pill. And she has to do it twice a day.
It's like that scene from the Jack Nicholson with
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No, he's the astronaut and the one woman, forgot, Warren Beatty's sister. What's her name?
Annette.
No, S. Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, Shirley.
Shirley MacLaine's daughter is dying in the bed. And she's ringing the nurses. Give her the pill.
Yes, I forgot about that. Sure. No, that was Terms of Endearment, wasn't it? Give her the pill. Give her the pill. Give her the pill.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was really like Shirley MacLaine this morning because I was like, please, I need you to, because she has to take it during certain hours so it stays balanced in her system. You know what I mean? So I was panicking. I was like, please, here's the gravy. Here, stuffing. I don't know why I can't have a healthy relationship.
Yeah, everyone's mystified. She goes from 0 to 10.5, like this. Oh, she's a delight to have around.
It's so much fun. I mean, the good news is you never know what's going to happen. So if you like surprises.
Okay, I have the question. I did pick up one little thing out of your list that I've thought about in the past, and the question is, have you already had the best sex of your life?
Oh,
Is it coming up?
I have had some really fantastic sex. I would like to believe, oh dear God, I would like to believe I'm going to have some more. I hope, because I feel like when you're older, you get more creative and more free with your body, I think. What about you? I've had some great sexual partners. I'm pretty pleased. And then the thing is, once you've had a great sexual partner, then when you're with someone that's just wants to have sex and isn't creative or fun, then you're kind of like, oh, it's just sex,
I know it.
So what about you?
Oh, I can't complain, but it'd be nice to have, it's funny. I asked my mom, we're down to 30 seconds. I asked my mom when she was 80 something, I said, are your best days behind you or ahead of you? She goes, oh, they're ahead. And then 2 years later, she was dead.
But that's lovely.
That's what a great mindset to be in. And I'm going to
That's-
say thanks to everybody because we're going to get chopped off. Thanks for hanging out and unpacking some shit. My name's Tom Wise.
And I'm Melinda McKinsey. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. So then we're going to do another show on Monday, right?
Yes, we are.
The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.